right, hello and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing a brand new game tonight. We're playing Blade Runner, not just a new game to us, but a relatively new game in terms of its release. So it's another one of these free league games that we love so much. We're actually playing 3 of them on the channel now, as we've been playing One Ring for a very long time now on Saturdays. Steven's cooking up this Forbidden Lands game for us, and now I got this Blade Runner one coming on Fridays. I even got the physical book, which is nice and shiny and everything. Literally, not just nice and shiny, like metaphorically, because it's cool and new, but it's also really shiny. So it's very fun. So because it's new, imagine there will be mistakes made. But yeah, well, we're going to have fun regardless. So I've managed, I think I got everyone to watch the movies. Long, did you watch them?
I watched the 2049, the newer one.
Okay, you couldn't be bothered to go back and watch the.
Yeah, I don't go back to the past like that. It's too old for me.
You go forward. You know, you're all about going forward. You're a shark. You know,
we can't live in the past.
Yeah, can't live in the past. So hopefully everyone's kind of got a feel for it. It's not your kind of your your average cyberpunk setting, because it's got a different sort of mood and tone to it. But there's a lot of tropes that are consistent here and there across, so it'll kind of get you halfway there. But there's a couple different elements here and there that kind of make the setting unique. It's really funny because we've only played, I think, one cyberpunk game together, and it was years ago. And Steven wasn't there. I don't think Derek was either. But I think the rest of us, we played Shadows of the Beanstalk with the Genesis system for like one session.
And did a very, very bad job trying to break in somewhere.
Oh God, that was terrible. And then all of our schedules blew up and we never went back to it. So it took like 6 years, but we're finally back to like a cyberpunkish game. So very excited for that. Let's see, how do we want to handle this? Okay, so let me give you the basic intro so everyone's kind of familiar with where we're at, especially relative to the setting. Then we'll go through, we'll let everyone introduce their characters as like based on what they pick, their archetypes, that kind of stuff. And then we'll dive in and we'll have kind of a more like in-story introduction to these characters, right? So right now in the Blade Runner universe, it's in the time of the game, it's 2037. So it's 18 years of the events in the original Blade Runner movie. And it's 12 years prior to the more recent Ryan Gosling-led movie, so that's where we're at. So it's 2037. Earth is dying. Much of the population, at least those that can afford it or who pass like this appropriate screening test and are willing to indenture themselves, have moved off world. But those that are left behind, they live in these like pretty much polluted mega cities, right? And Los Angeles being the primary one where this is set. And expansion has started to happen, not just horizontally, so it hasn't just become this giant sprawl, which it has, but also vertically. So new skyscrapers, literally hundreds of floors high, like up to 500 levels high, have been built quite literally atop older parts of the city, to the point where older buildings are now used as like foundation for this uber wealthy growth. And it is that uber wealthy that tends to inhabit like the highest reaches of these buildings, and they're able to avoid mingling with like street level folk in the poor and whatnot, because, flying cars. We have flying cars. We've got like, helipads and stuff like that, like at various portions throughout some of these massive buildings. Whenever you walk the streets, there's these like neon holographic stereo photo, something like that, advertisements and holograms that you see everywhere, like kind of customized to yourself. And it like hawks all manner of like entertainment, food, etc. No one really eats food anymore. It's really just protein supplements and stuff that are like from protein farms that have been like remade to make it look like steak or something like that, but it's still just like protein stuff. Tech, ever present, of course. Most of the like really advanced, like unbelievable tech, like this amazing tech, is like returning to Earth from the colonies. So there's like these 9 colonies that are off world. We're not going there. Maybe later. But like there still remains in this population this mistrust, this paranoia for certain tech, most notably replicants, right? These human-like androids or robots or whatever you want to kind of use for them. Now, big thing in the timeline, all of you would be aware of this. I think all but maybe Melissa would have been alive for this. 15 years ago, the blackout, this big thing that happened in 2022, hit the world. It was mentioned in the 2049 movie, if you watch that. And it essentially crashed the interstellar economy. It wiped out like cloud-based and digitized data, and analog tech kind of regained a certain footing in like the public zeitgeist, and like all of these records like tracking existing like Tyrell core like replicants that were the kind of the crazy ones from the 2019 movie. Well, those disappeared, and so all of them would no longer able to track these replicants. They just sort of disappeared into the populations. They scattered and they hid. So years later, it's 2037. There's still kind of no real understanding of how many of these old Tyrell models, whether it's like the Nexus 8 models is mainly what is probably out there. Nexus 6 models have aged out at this point. Tyrell Corp still exists, sort of, but it's now the Wallace Corporation that's sort of taken over, and they're the ones sort of producing these things. Nexus 9 models, which again, Melissa will tell us a little bit about that in a sec. They're the main replicant to the point where, like, you see them some degree. Now, there's still hatred for them. There's still a lot of people who hate them, but there's still movements. Empathy movement, for instance, is one of them. So the LAPD still maintains the Replicant Detection Unit, which is what you all are part of, which is what this game currently, as the core book is. You all play as different members of this Replicant Detection Unit. And so you all handle crimes and issues that might somehow, not necessarily directly, sometimes just indirectly pertain to replicant-related crimes. So that's sort of where we're at. That's sort of the background. So with that said, why don't we do like a quick go-around so you can tell us what's your archetype, and what specialties do you take? So, and again, we'll introduce your character like in story in a minute, but just give us some of the basic details on your character sheet, like the choices that you have and like what your archetype means. So we'll just go by the overlay. So Derek, tell us about Everett MaxWell.
Yeah, so Everett MaxWell has been a Blade Runner for 7 years, and he's a skimmer. So he's kind of like the social type of person, kind of using charisma and just the ability to schmooze, rub elbows, things like that to get what he needs, get what he wants. And then, did you mention specialty?
Yeah. So like you have so there's archetypes in games, or sort of like classes, and then each of them kind of comes with a specialty, which like is basically like a talent. So if you've played other Free League games, you kind of know the drill.
Yeah, so in Everett's talent, he always seems to find that lucky penny, or I guess in this case, that lucky $500 bill or whatever, or Shinyan, and just he can pull it anywhere, ask somebody for a small loan, and get what he needs that way. So he has some connections in some interesting places from his time in the Force.
Nice. And so Shinyan is money. Like, so that's basically the money system that's essentially used throughout LA. And in the game, it's sort of abstracted into Shinyan points, which are ultimately used for, you get a couple different effects for them, but it's one of the sort of forms of XP in some ways. Like, not only can you get like gear potentially and requisition stuff from the Force, but you can also eventually like burn them for getting new specialties. So like it's a way of doing that as well. That's one of the two basic. They've taken like the concept of XP and sort of split it into two different things: Shinyan and humanity points. So, and which are the way that you kind of advance your character. All right, Ashley, tell us about Faye Harcrow.
Faye is our enforcer of the group, and she uses her slight build to kind of catch people off guard before she absolutely wrecks them. And she has the specialty of being a killer. You can, if you want, roll an extra crit die when inflicting a critical hit on a target, and I can choose the result that I prefer, and hopefully do more damage.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, and I know, like, I think you took, like, you said martial arts and stuff like that. Didn't you take something like that? Like, I think you have.
I spent my Chinyan or whatever it was. To get it, and so I also have martial arts, which gives me advantage in hand-to-hand combat rolls.
Perfect. Okay. And then next up, let's go bottom row. we've got Stephen. A couple, as you could tell, some people have really gone all out with some cosplay, and then there's me and Long, who are like, hey. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Some of us are just passionate about what we do. Okay,
yeah. I do this. I don't know why I do this anymore, but I do that for the smile on your face,
not
Stephen.
passion.
It's for the smile on your face.
You're passionate about that? You know, I'm passionate about you making me smile.
Okay. This is getting awkward again. Just like that for playing this game. So go ahead and introduce your damn character.
Need a room? Like, we'll step out. Like, it's cool.
I'm sorry. I always forget Melissa's here. I need to, tone it back.
That doesn't matter.
I am playing Lawton Stone. I am an analyst, a bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to my stats, but I do specialize as a scientist. So if it requires any sort of technology or I believe like biology as well, I can handle that. Tech and medical aid, yes.
The fun thing about Steven's character is that if you watch the Blade Runner 2049, his character, the analyst, appeared in that. And actually the artwork for that character in 2049 is actually in the book too, which is kind of cool. And you get killed like super fast. Like you're in and out of that story so fast. Spoiler alert, by the way. And hopefully our game can be consistent with that, because you guys know how I like to try to get within, adhere to the
Jeff,
moods
just let me love you.
of the world.
Quit pushing me away.
Well, just we're gonna kill your analyst. You're gonna make a doxy, and then we'll talk about love. Right there we go. All right. Next up. We're gonna do a little detour here. Melissa, tell us about Arlie.
Arlie is an inspector, and Arlie is a replicant. So, surprise.
It's not really a surprise. I think they would know, right? Nexus 9. So you're one of the newer Wallace models that doesn't have the problems of the old Tyrell models years and years ago. That doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't still people who hate you and call you skin job and all sorts of other things. But tell us more about Inspector too.
So Inspector is kind of the stereotypical cop that's, kind of always kind of pushing things, kind of not afraid to, kind of ask tough questions, kind of rough folks up and kind of do all of those kinds of things. So by appearance, she's brunette, got kind of a perm, bangs, fairly sharp features. And she always wears a kind of plasticky, vinyl-y white trench coat.
Nice. And did you ever figure it out? Like, I know we were talking about beforehand. Did you get a specialty or not? I think
no.
because
I'm a rookie, and rookies don't start with specialties. Because
good call. So one of so in this game, you can be a human, you can be a replicant, or you could be a human who might actually be a replicant and doesn't know. And it's one of those things where you let the GM know ahead of time, and the GM sort of figures it out. They roll a die to see if it happens, and then it might pop up. So we have one replicant out, but who knows? Maybe some of these people, I won't say if any of them did or how many of them did. Maybe we might have more by the end of this. We'll see. And then finally, Long, tell us about your fixer.
Yeah, I'm playing Koji Sunru family. I've been in the force for 11 years now, quite a veteran. And because of that, I've got two specialties. I'm a fixer, and I've got protection. So all the time I've spent, I've made a lot of connections. So whenever I fail, like on duties, I can lose a promotion point, but instead I can roll the connections to reduce that loss. And also, I'm an insider. So I'll get an advantage on my connection rolls when I try to acquire gear or other kind of resources from the LAPD. So that'll help out.
Yeah, there's like a whole list of things. Like one of the cool things about the book is that it does give you a lot of like, gives players a lot of support over like how to handle an investigation and like all the different resources that you could potentially call in from LAPD. Like you can burn resources to try to do it. You can burn time as well. There's like shifts and things like that. So, but we'll dive into that as it comes up. All right, I guess I got to stop stalling, and I guess we got to start, huh? right? Any questions or concerns before we dive in?
Yeah, how do we play?
Right. That's a great question. So it's your usual year zero system, but it's changed. It's not just D6s anymore. But it's got a lot of the same roll mechanics actually as Twilight 2K. It's got that kind of letter grade system, A, B, C, and D, and it corresponds to like D12, D10, D8, D6. All of you by default have your attributes and your skills, I think, at C grade, I think is the minimum. At some point you can downgrade and upgrade something else. So you have basically between A's and D's, so anywhere between D6s and D12s. You roll 2 dice, right? Whenever you roll a check. There can be advantage and disadvantage that might give you a third die, and that let you do that from time to time, take the better or the worst, etc. But otherwise, that's what it is. Let's see, successes are like 6s and above, I believe, if I recall correctly. And then if you have like the dice from the actual game, or in our Foundry table, for instance, because we have the official Foundry module, the successes are eyeballs, and fails are unicorns. That's or not just fails, but bad stuff. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We good? Ready to go?
I think we're good.
I'm curious if my donation gets me off world so I can save my character from any horrible fate.
Well, here's the thing. As I was saying in chat, in my headcanon, and I was planning this way back when we were doing Cinders of Heaven for Alien, in my headcanon, Blade Runner and Alien share the same universe. And so that's one of the reasons why it's Memories of Fire and Cinders of Heaven. There's all like this fire theme going on, etc. So yeah, basically what I want to point out is like, you can go out there. It's dangerous out there. You know, it's dangerous. You're gonna get a weird bony hand in the face that shoves something down your throat, and then you're gonna have a very ugly baby who kills you. All right, so let's start. Okay, so we're gonna do a little randomy stuff. Let's do. Trying to get a little music going here. All right. We're open cinematically. It's a dark Los Angeles skyscape. All right. You can see in front of us this near endless forest of concrete warehouses that seem to flank and surround LAX. We're in Sector 12. Now, LAX is basically a spaceport at this point, where moon buses shuttle elites and cargo to and from various orbital stations around the Earth and then out towards the colonies and back. But also, it's sometimes domestic flights, but usually, again, uber wealthy, mega rich. And it's not just that. So we see the sky is kind of populated with these giant moon bus shuttles that are just kind of disappearing. We see the bright red lights of their engines burn through the fog and smog. We see these cargo barges that are ferrying goods to storage warehouses from the starport itself, or from warehouses to some of the vendors throughout the other sectors of LA. We can see that there's also this subtle rain tonight, not a very heavy one. We also notice that there's this fog that's rolling up and over the seawall to the west before it kind of merged with the natural industrial fog of this warehouse district that we're in. Now, the concrete forest it's largely dark, but there are these kind of burning lights of these barges and these LAPD spinners that are kind of moving about with greater activity than you might get at this time of night. And the latter of these, the spinners, these cars, are all kind of veering and converging towards this orange-red speck to the southeast. And that's when our camera kind of shifts a little bit closer towards that orange-red speck, and we see one of these warehouses is aflame, and it's burning brightly in the night, just burning and burning and burning. The light rain's not enough to kick it out, and for some reason, despite there being all these automated fire suppression systems throughout, it has almost made, actual old school fire departments obsolete. This thing is just burning and burning away as all of these dark other warehouses. We see on the ground, and the actual ground, and even on some of the upper platform levels, we can see warehouse workers, union workers, LAPD, corporate people coming to check on whatever they have stored in some of these warehouses are beginning to congregate, their faces coated in orange. Camera fades out at that point, right as those LAPD spinners are descending right in front of that swath of an audience. And as the screen kind of goes black, we hear this sound of what's called a Kia, or a knowledge integration assistant, this small device that all LAPD are assigned. It's part of your normal gear. We hear it ringing and ringing, and when the screen comes back up from black, we see the owner, and let's do this randomly. The owner is Lawton Stone. So as the screen comes back, it starts on like the actual display image of the Kia. Where do we see Lawton Stone? What does he look like? What is he doing? Where are you at this time of night as this call comes in? You look down and you can see there's Deputy Chief Holden's name, contact name is on it. Where and what is Lawton Stone doing?
Lawton Stone would be in his apartment, very dimly lit. The only light from in the apartment whatsoever is a fireplace, virtual fireplace on the wall. There's just a screen on the wall that has a fire going, and it casts flickering shadows throughout the room. He is actually at a desk. He's got a glass of whiskey and one of his square tumblers, of course. And he's going through papers and photographs. He's got a computer nearby that he's talking to absentmindedly, not actually looking up at the computer with the results of its commands, but just knowing what's feeding back. And he's just in a rhythm. His Kia pops up and he answers.
And you hear the sound of Deputy Chief Holden's voice, but he kind of heads the RDU, the Replicant Detection Unit. And he's like, Stone, we got a wild one tonight. I know you're off. I know this is downshift for you, but special assignment. Need you to get out to Sector 12. Chemplast warehouse. Their security chief, he's ex-LAPD, Monty Croyle. Apparently he's got connections above my pay grade, above yours too. Now Chemplast is it's Wallace Corps. So be on your best behavior. And get the Croyle, see what the hell this is all about. I'm in the dark just as much as you right now. I don't know why they need so many people.
What am I walking into here? It must be a real mess.
Arson case, that's all I know. A warehouse is up in flames. It's still burning. I don't know why the suppression units ain't working. They're working to take it out. Something's going on. We got the call from Chemplast. One of the Wallace Corps reps is kind of putting pressure on the upper bigwigs, and they're putting pressure down on me. So now I'm putting pressure on you. You understand how that works?
When Lawton hears arson case, his eyes immediately flicker up to the fireplace on his wall, and he kind of lingers for a moment, lost in a reverie before coming back.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll take the case. I'm on it. I'm on it.
It wasn't of course you're taking the case. I told you you're taking the case, Stone. All right, and I need you to grab R on your way and tell her that she needs to check a damn phone when I call and that she's due for a baseline, okay? Tomorrow.
She hasn't had a baseline?
She's not answering.
You're sending me in the middle of the night to an arson case with a replicant that's not been baselined.
She's been baselined. I want another one. She's not answering her phone. Do your job, Stone.
What do you have against me?
What do I have against you? Right now, what I have against you is that you keep me on the phone. You get a little text come through. You son of a bitch. And you can hear it. It's like, you son of a bitch. So where would we're going to bring Melissa in on this one, as all this is sort of being random. R is kind of what you're referred to by some folks. Arlie is kind of the name you've taken as well, so people probably use both. So Where would Lawton find you? How about that?
Arlie's also, so she has a housing in Sector 5. So she is kind of where she is expected to be.
Mm-hmm. LAP, you're in like the LAPD dormitory area? Okay.
Yep. And what is kind of noticeable, there's not a lot inside this apartment, but everything inside the apartment is black and white. And so you see, kind of everything is, even if it's just kind of been spray painted, everything, you kind of have that like very 80s shiny black furniture that's there. And you see that she is on the wall is one of those Kit Kat clocks. So it's like the black cat with the tail that comes down for the seconds and the eyes that kind of move. And so you see that she's just sort of watching the cat, just sort of with the kind of back and forth. And
then
see,
you're like, well, if you keep going first, but at some point you probably notice the regular buzzing of your Kia.
Yeah, and so she's been, kind of as she's been watching it, she has these one black, one white go stone. And so you see, this is what she does, and she's sort of kind of mulling something as you see kind of one in each hand. And so she's just sort of kind of watching the clock and just sort of rubbing each of the stones a bit. And then she'll kind of realize that it's kind of something is trying to get her attention.
You look down at your Kia and you notice the first thing you see is that we'll say you have an incoming contact from Lawton Stone. We should clarify. Blade Runner universe, LAPD, you got your Kia, you can use it to contact each other. There's no cell phones, but if you tried to contact people outside of the LAPD network, you would have to literally go find a vid phone somewhere. Like you'd have to get on like a payphone type of thing, but each other you can do this no problem. And so it allows you to kind of be present in ways that you might not have been able to otherwise if you weren't in LAPD. But you see, Lawton Stone comes up, you probably have worked together. He's an analyst, he's a lab guy, you're an inspector, you kind of come back, you see him pop up. You also notice too, perhaps as you go to answer, that you have 5 missed messages from Deputy Chief Holden that have been coming in for the last, looks like 20 minutes, like every 5 minutes, like another. And maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't when they were ringing, but you see him now for sure.
And so she will, in reverse order, respond to each one. So each of Holden's messages will get a response back to it. And then the last response will be to Stone.
And so in increasing annoyance, you hear Deputy Chief Holden. The first one's normal, where it's just like, where you at, kid? I got a new one tonight. I got a hot one. And I mean that in more ways than one. Okay, I need you out there. Next one comes up. Kid, answer your phone. This ain't right. You want to work a part of this unit, you got to answer your phone. Kid, answer your damn phone. And the next one's like, if you don't answer your damn phone, I'm sending someone to get you. And then finally, Stone's coming.
Yes, I got it. Apologies. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. I will wait for him.
Okay. And so we'll say
Holden has to have the worst heartburn.
He does. Like that's how I'm picturing him. I'm picturing like the Blade Runner 2019, like as that guy. Like he's
perfect.
Like, or like a Sipowicz. Like I'm kind of want to play him like as I love Sipowicz from MIB. So like I'm picturing as that completely balding head, pockmarked face. Unlike you all, extraordinarily ugly. And so yeah, you see a live feed coming in from Lawton. And we'll say, Lawton, you're probably en route in your spinner.
Good evening, Mr. Lawton Stone.
You get the messages from Holden? He said he's been trying to get you.
I just responded to each and every one of them.
Of course he did. We got a case. It's
I hear it's a hot one.
Yeah, it's an arson case. Apparently they need an analyst out there. You're supposed to come with me. I'm not really a field agent here. How are you feeling? Holden said that you were needing a baseline.
I feel just fine, but I will comply with the baseline. Did he say I needed to do it right now, or are we going to do the job?
We're going to do the job. They need us there ASAP, but you got to do the baseline tomorrow.
Okay. How many minutes will it take until you are here?
I don't know, like quarter hour, minutes. 13.
Okay. I will be ready.
Are you sure you're feeling okay?
Yes, I'm just fine.
All right.
Goodbye, Mr. Longstone. See you shortly.
So
Hang
we
on.
do a little montage then of Arlie kind of getting ready to leave, kind of timing it out perfectly. As you go to leave your apartment, like you hear the tick, tick, tick of your Kit Kat clock, but right as you're going to close the door, there's like a pause where the tick doesn't happen. And you like kind of look back and you see the second hand on the clock just sort of hover for a sec and then kind of continue to go. Close the door. Start moving down the hallway and the stairwell. Unlike some of the other tenement houses, condos, apartments, things like that, the LAPD housing, you don't have people living in the hallways at least, but it's not the cleanest place. It's very mundane. It's certainly not particularly decorated. There's definitely a brutalist feel to the architecture here, much like the headquarters. And so you go down a few flights, or maybe you pass by someone kind of coming off shift who kind of gives you a kind of a glare or a dirty look and kind of passes by without saying much. And you come out into the street, light rain coming down, the sounds of people moving. You see crowds pushing past, despite the time the city's always awake. And we see almost perfectly timed the spinner unit of Lawton Stone kind of lowering down to the street level to pick you up, Arlie. We will fade from there, and we will cut then to Koji Sunru. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the same sound of the kind of the Kia unit going off. And where do we find Koji Sunru when the call from Deputy Chief Holden comes in?
Find Koji in Sector 1, the entertainment district. He's at Jade's Inc. It's a tattoo parlor. Find him shirtless, face down on the tabletop, with Jade herself, touching up, fixing up some of his tattoos. He's got some running from his right arm all the way up into his neck and his forehead. He's getting some new ones done. He's also watching the TV while he's getting it done. These days it's 99% ad, 1% entertainment. Advertisements like travel here now to Tokyo. It feels like they're reading his mind pretty much. But
do your, if I can ask a question, do your tattoos, are they, so there's in Blade Runner, you can actually get, I'm trying to look at the name for this. I think they're called stereoscopic tattoos. So they have like a movement quality to them. It's almost like two different images overlaid atop and creating this depiction of depth and even movement from angle. Do you have stuff like that?
Yeah, it's sort of like waves, a koi kind of popping out of it. So it looks like it's almost flowing.
Okay. And so as Jade is kind of going through and probably humming to herself as she's doing the work, she kind of stops for a second and she's like, "Do you need to take that call?"
Keep going. I'll put it on speaker.
And so you put it on speaker and you hear the voice, a very familiar voice. It's Deputy Chief Holden. And he's like, Koji, yeah, I know you're on downshift, but I got a wild one tonight. All right, kid. Special assignment. I need you to get out to Sector 12. Listen, I don't know why they even need you. Something strange happening. I'm getting all sorts of requests down for this person or that. But there's arson. There's a fire. One of these Chemplast warehouses is up in flames. Just checked in. Starting to die down. Something strange about the fire, but I don't know. I got Stone. I got that analyst guy, and I got R going out. I need you to head on out there. I need you to take a look. There's a woman. Oh, what's the name? Here it is. Marilyn Lau. She's Chemplast representative. I've been on the phone with her for the past 25 minutes, and she's been busting my balls. Apparently, we've got an ex-LAPD who's involved somehow, but she can't find him, pulling in all sorts of strings, and she's threatening to kind of, take this up higher and higher. So get on out there, make her happy, pick up, what's his name? MaxWell, get him. He's always good at schmoozing, can make people happy, whatever. I don't even care. I don't want to know how. Get on out there, figure out what's going on, hook up with Stone and Arlie, and figure out what the hell's going down.
You got it, boss. I'll fix it for you.
All right. And so we'll cut then to Everett MaxWell. And you kind of got a similar call kind of coming in, like off screen. You kind of had the same sort of call from Holden kind of going through, kind of explaining, warehouse district, fire, Chemplast, subsidiary of Wallace. We've got a Wallace Corp rep, kind of runs Chemplast. She's kind of causing a storm. She can't find her security chief. Her security chief's ex-LAPD. They want us out there. They don't know what the hell's going on. Why isn't the fire suppression unit work? They get on out there. I don't know why they want RDU, but get on out there. And then he says, I sent Koji. So you got a ride coming. So where is Everett MaxWell as this kind of call comes in from Holden?
Yeah, Everett's just out in one of the market areas, just eating a nice warm bowl of noodles, kind of just walking around in the light drizzle that's happening. Somebody, as he's almost finished with his noodles, someone bumps into him because they're not paying attention to where they're going. And he kind of does the John Travolta confused, looking at them. He just lights up a cigarette though, shrugs, keeps going, and that's when he gets the call and listens to Holden's spiel about the case he's got to work.
And so there's a couple places you might be, honestly. There's there's this place. I love this place. It's one of my favorite places I've seen. It's called Piss Alley, is what it's called. But it's a place where there's essentially
I wonder what it's known for.
You would be surprised to learn there, Lawton, that it's actually known for these kind of little bistro and gastropubs. It's actually kind of a nice place, this little kind of out of the way kind of location. There's also
it was gentrified.
Yeah, it was a little gentrified. As gentrified as I think street level can get. But there was also I think there's Hawker's Circle, another one you might be in. So there's a couple different places, and I think Hawker's Circle might have a noodle bar that's pretty famous. I think that's Hawker's Circle.
Oh. MaxWell will definitely be in a Piss Alley if it's nicer, because he's got that extra cash. So he wants the good quality noodles.
Yeah, I'm turning through my book right now to find the full D script for Piss Alley, which here it is. Okay, so it's in Sector 4. It's in the industrial district. So it's a labyrinth of narrow, dimly lit alleyways filled with the trendiest eateries and the juiciest gossip. So you see Derek, he's got the
juiciest gossip. Yeah,
fake.
Yeah, it's fake cigarette.
Perfect
don't worry,
for you,
folks.
Right?
Yeah. So after
Skimmer.
After he gets bumped into, he just lights up. He just starts walking around, waiting for the ride.
They're fake cigarettes. They're fake. Don't smoke. So let me ask you a question. Let's do a moment of world building really fast. What's the eatery you're at? Is it a noodle bar or is it something else?
It's a noodle bar, definitely. It's what they specialize. They try to make it, as authentic as possible, where it looks like they're making the noodles from scratch. Grinding the materials together, stretching them out, and whatnot.
So you're getting like you're watching the protein composite from the farms out east, and like they're kind of coming through and they're making the noodles themselves. Whatever they do with the flavoring actually makes it taste good. Is this a place that you're known? Like, are you like a local? Like, are you coming a lot?
Oh yeah, this is one of his favorite spots. It's kind of where his downtime is spent. He gets to hang out with some of the people that he's come to know over the months, years, depending.
Okay, give me the name of the place and give me one of your contacts here.
Ooh, okay. So we've got. All right. I think this place will be called the Knit Noodles.
The Knit Noodles. Okay.
Yeah. And for a contact, it'll be the owner. We'll call her Mama Murphy.
Mama Murphy. Okay. Wait a second. Did you just have like Papa Murphy's tonight? Is that what it is?
No, I think I pulled that from a Fallout game, actually.
Okay. All right. So as the call comes, so we'll say a call comes in from Koji, kind of getting your location. You pop through, Knit Noodles, and you kind of sit down and you wait. You hear stories like. Nothing's like this little story you've got of the fire that doesn't seem to have kind of moved around just yet. It's literally an active scene. It's been going on for a couple hours. No one's really picking up on it here. But you hear other things, usual kind of scuttlebutt, you hear stories of like, there's some sort of, if you're a cop, that someone was like, be careful. I heard a rumor, there's this one cop over by, what was it? It wasn't Koreatown. It was, I can't remember. Anyway, they're out there. Someone's out for you guys. They're taking you out. But not us. We love you, kind. We love you. You're great. You do wonderful things. Don't worry. But just, we wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you.
There's always somebody out after us. And if you wanted to take me out, you'd poison my noodles years ago, right?
Yeah. No. I'd never think about doing something like that. No.
Of course not.
And it's at that point you kind of look back and you can see the landing lights start to glow outside, like where you're sitting on the counter, and you see the spinner coming down, dribblings of rain, and like there's this one dry spot underneath as the spinner comes down. And there you see Koji right there, fresh, kind of maybe bandage or no, actually it's on your back, wasn't it? So like maybe kind of leaning a little forward in the seat so you're not leaning up against the back. The side door opens up and you pop in.
Koji, what's with your posture? What are you doing?
I've been sore, trying to keep the tat fresh,
Oh, you're getting more ink. I can't keep up with you, young. Oh, I guess you've been on the force longer than me, but I can't keep up with you, you artists decorating your body.
Yeah, it's a way of expression. But come on, MaxWell. There's a fire. Clear.
Let's go.
All right. So you take off and you start heading across the city towards Sector 12, which is, again, it's not that long to get to these places. Like when you're in the spinner, you can go pretty quickly from place to place. As long as you're not trying to do public transit or trying to go by foot or something like that, you can get places pretty quickly. So you start flying, kind of level up, get above some of the usually, the normally high skyscrapers, but you don't kind of go all the way up. You see these beaming towers where the mega wealthy are kind of living up. That's not quite where you're going. You see the old pyramid of, Tyrell core as you pass by, still functioning. And eventually, you guys make it out and we see like that same concrete forest, warehouses left and right. And you can see like this sort of, you got the cords and stuff, and you kind of head to this southeast portion. Up ahead of you, there's another spinner that's kind of coming in, and you see like you're kind of getting waved down and waved down and waved down, where there's this kind of higher level pad that's been cleared off for some of these units. You look over at the warehouse itself. You can see that it's in a horrible shambles. Like it's been burnt through, and you, as you look at it, you realize it's not just been burnt, but it looks like It's suffered just from going over top of it. There's lights all on it. Looks like it suffered some kind of explosive. It's like something detonated. The skeleton of the warehouse is still intact. Now, this thing is the equivalent of like a 50-story high building in some ways, but you know that some of these warehouses store extraordinarily large machinery and other devices. And as you kind of get, as you start coming down, we're gonna shift the camera over. We see, like, as we're panning over, we see Arlie and Stone getting out of that other spinner that was just in front of you. You, Everett, and Koji are getting out of another, and we see a third off to the side where inside, sitting, is Faye Harcrow, who is just sort of either kind of daydreaming, like kind of lost in thought, kind of staring down. First to arrive at the scene, took the call right away. You were nearby, kind of landing here, kind of waiting. Holden told you to wait. More would come. So first, what does Faye look like? How does he look? What do we see as she's inside of her spinner? And then secondly, you've been daydreaming about something.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Faye.
So, Faye is a short woman. She's got dark hair that she often wears up in like a severe bun, and she's got this beautiful darker skin tone, and she likes to wear like jewel toned eyeshadows that really pop out, but everything else she wears is kind of grungy. She wears her combat boots, these like tactical pants, and then if she is wearing a top, she's either wearing her like sports bra when she's coming from the gym or just a ratty t-shirt. And then she's got this really weird, clear sort of like rain poncho that she's wearing. And her daydream that she has, she can't quite grasp it. It's coming in sort of like these fleeting, just like pictures and visions. And she's had this daydream numerous times, and it starts out with these beautiful arowana fish, and it's just glimpse of their scales as they're swimming past her, and she's watching them in just awe, and she's like 5. And then it's tinged with like fear and vulnerability, and then it pulls back, and now she's at her parents' house, and they got her an artificial arowana fish, and she's watching it in the tank that she has in her bedroom.
Okay. And as like you start to come out, like for whatever reason, you just start to like drift back out of that kind of daydream, and you haven't gotten out of the spinner because a little bit further away, where now there's multiple, LAPD vehicles have started to set up on this platform. You can see that there are a couple of very serious looking individuals, very professional, very like corporate. And there is also what you can tell is like, beat cop, support cop. This isn't, necessarily, one of these like your specialty RDU folk. It's been there kind of trying to keep them at bay and kind of calm them down as they are like kind of yelling at him, berating him. You see one of them is a woman that you would probably peg in her, you'd imagine her 40s, but you never really know for sure. But she's done up in a very, very serious, like burgundy like pantsuit with like very ornate shoulders. Her hair is done up in a very kind of old-fashioned manner. And the man standing next to her, and you're not sure if they're like, when they're yelling at this other cop, that they are like doing it as a team or if they're like kind of competing for attention. But you see this guy is much shorter than her, in fact, as she, whether it's her heels or just her natural height or a combination of the two, is almost a head taller than him. He's much shorter, stocky build, wide, broad shoulders, like thick forearms. You can see that he's got these kind of shaved kind of temples that kind of grease back, and his hair is kind of slicked in such a way you're not sure if it's the rain or just a sort of the product that he might put in his hair. But he's probably much older, probably 20 years. He's got this kind of grisly looking beard that's been maintained, and this heavy kind of goggle glasses. and he's got in his mouth, he's got what looks like some kind of stogie that hasn't gone out the whole time. And as you're like kind of looking, you see as 4 other individuals kind of move past you, and you recognize them. Now, I want to clarify that you guys don't necessarily work together all the time. You've had run-ins, you've worked with each other, you know each other from the department, you've helped each other out on certain things here and there, and it is mildly unusual to put so many people on a singular case like this. And usually that would mean that it's something from high up, something corporate. Wallace is driving it, or the UN is driving it, or something like that. But you see the people that Deputy Holden told you was coming. You see Everett, you see Arlie, you see Koji, you see Lawton. So you hit the door, opens up, and you step out, light rain coming down, and there you are, the 5 of you. And you see what looks like this beat cop turns around, and you can see this wash of relief come over his face as he sees you all, and he comes on over. He comes. Oh, thank God you guys are here. I can't take the 2 of them. This is I don't get paid enough for this. I do not get paid enough for this. Okay, so listen. Which one to use? MaxWell. That one right there. That's Marilyn Lau. Chemplas, and he kind of like pulls open his Kia. He kind of goes over. Chemplas, she subsidiary, kind of goes through the same stuff you've heard before. She's the contact. She wants to get on scene. We haven't let her on scene yet. She wants to get an idea what happened to a product, et cetera, and casualties, et cetera. That one over there, that's German Volch, and he kind of points at the guy. Warehouse union rep in the area. Some of his boys, they were kind of working to help put out the fire here and there, and the same thing. He wants to know who of his were inside, what the hell's going on, and that's what I got. So it's off onto you guys now. Okay, what can I do? Anything else I can do for you? You guys need anything?
How long till the fire suppressed?
Okay, it's mostly down for now. They've managed to kind of kick it down. Whatever it is, this something chemical is going on. I don't know the details. I guess that's why you're here, Stone. Some sort of chemical is kicking up. I asked Marilyn, Miss Lau. Excuse me, Miss Lau. Don't call her Marilyn. I asked Miss Lau what they were storing. She was very shady. She just says, "That's none of my business," and she's right. It's none of my business. I'm just here to preserve the scene. That's it. But we don't know whether it's something of theirs or something else. No one really knows.
Yeah, coffee, black.
Coffee black. You what? Yeah, I could do that. Sure. Yeah, sure. I think there's a. Kind of looks around. Yeah,
I don't care where it is. You can find it.
But I'm gonna go get it.
Everett's gonna clap a hand on the officer's shoulder and look at him and be like, I didn't catch your name. What's your name, officer?
Oh, me. That's a great question. Clayton.
Clayton, thanks for giving us the initial details and for keeping everything as calm as you can until we arrived. Don't listen to my coworker here. He likes to have a go at people, and Everett will hand him like a small bill and say, go take some 5 minutes, get yourself a coffee. Don't worry about us. We got this.
Yeah. All right. I'll run over. Maeve's bar is just like a hop skip over that way. They're sort of friendly. The cops. We'll see. You guys want anything?
Coffee, black.
Yeah. I got yours. Okay. So he takes your orders. Okay.
Officer Clayton, I believe we were
kind of turns a little coolly towards you. But he listens. He doesn't say anything, but you can tell like his facial expression is a little bit cooler when it's looking at you.
I'm being a dick and you're the one he doesn't like.
The way of the replicant. I believe we were asked to find a Mr. Croyle. Is that?
That's correct. I have not yet found him. Miss Lau is also very interested in finding him as well. He is not responding to any of her communication attempts. He is the head of security. Chemplast, Wallace, they employ private security in this area. This is we're only brought in because whatever security they did employ seems to have failed. And now we've been brought in to clean things up. So if you can find him, I'm sure she would be much obliged.
Thank you for that information. Did we have an estimated time when this fire broke out?
Within the next 20 or 30, they've got it kind of cornered. The last bits of it have kind of on the western side. If you go in the eastern building, they know to expect you, and you can probably get in.
Do we know when it started earlier today?
Yeah, approximately 2.5 hours ago. Yes.
I see.
Burn quick. There are a number of people around, onlookers and such. It was, I've been told that it was a skeleton crew, so there might have actually been people here, or it might just have been some automation. Kind of uncertain. Mr. Volch has been difficult to get any information out of, but again, that's not my job. Okay, I'll leave you all to it now, if that's all right.
Yeah, we got to get to work.
Okay.
Thank you, Officer Clayton.
And I'll be back with those, yeah. And he kind of dips off at that point. So you guys are on kind of an uplifted platform. It's easy enough to get down to street level. You can see that these warehouses are almost perfectly distinct from the outside. Like they're all kind of the same. It's just this lengthy spread of these concrete buildings, and this one has suffered significant damage. You can tell just looking at it that like there's this residue of char, and you can see there's rubble as well. And also you can smell the smoke and the burn, and there's something foul on the air. Like it hasn't just been like concrete burning, but something else has kind of been mixed in with it. It's chemplast, and so all of you basically would know they deal with kind of material storage. So like they deal with plastics and chemicals, etc. And so all manner of stuff. And so you would kind of have a general idea of who they are. That would probably be in the brief that you got from Holden.
So then after Clayton would have left, Everett would have turned around to kind of like face the group and just make a quip and say, well, I guess we are taking out the mob boss or something. 5 people working one case. We got Hotshot over here, and he'll gesture over to Arlie. We got Young Blood here too. Hell of a case.
Politics. It's all bureaucracy. Someone up there had some money in this place, and they're upset that it's burning down.
Oh yeah, that's always how it goes. The rich lose enough, and then they start, ringing the bells on every part of the system, and we have to come in on our time off.
It does appear that if we are able to be successful in this, that would be looked upon very highly.
Yeah, it does.
That's you're already looking to climb the ranks real quick here, Hotshot, huh?
Well, I am but a rookie. I do hope to be more than a rookie someday.
If you don't bite off more than you can chew, there's a lot you got to learn before you start climbing the ranks here.
So as you all are talking, you hear the sounds of heels moving across the platform, and you can see this Marilyn Lau is moving in your direction. Now, in terms of things that you could potentially do, and obviously you can think of whatever it is you want to do, but there's the scene. You can kind of go and explore the warehouse. There's the crowd. There's people all around. There's you never know in terms of like kind of the security around here. There's probably Esper cameras somewhere, or private security cameras already been mentioned. There's these 2 kind of aficionados. There's the Chemplast rep. There's a warehouse union rep. So those people that you can talk to as well. So there's a variety of things that you could potentially do. What would you guys like to do as you hear the sounds of the heels moving in your direction? You peek back and you see with great determination She's walking towards you, and that German Volch guy is kind of more quickly following in her footsteps.
Upon hearing the footsteps, Everett will like spin around and kind of outstretch his arms and say, "Miss Lau, I'm so very sorry for the loss of your important asset. Just know that my companions here, we're going to do the best that we can to find whoever did this and why they did this and bring them to justice for you. So, of course, we're going to need your cooperation on as many details as you're able to share."
Oh, that sounds all fine and good. Are you going to do that before or after you continue with your little gossip mongering here? You've been sitting around here for 10 minutes, and then this one has been sleeping in her spinner now for, I don't know, a better part of 30 minutes. None of you have done anything. And that one, as she points at the car kind of driving away, that one is utterly useless. I have couch cushions who do more things than that one does. So can we get on with it,
I agree with
please?
you on all points. We should get to work.
Certainly make a point or make a mark in the one who drove away in their file so that they get retrained. But just to give you a little insight, we don't usually have this many people working a case, so sometimes we gotta, mix up or coordinate duties so that we're not doing double work on something that ends up being silly. I'm sure you understand.
I don't really need to know the inner workings of your process here, detective. The simple fact is that is my warehouse. There is a significant amount of product in that warehouse. I would like to get some of me and my people inside to inspect what is in there. And apparently I've had to wait around for you, which makes no sense at all. Because that is, again, my warehouse. And then for some reason, my security chief is nowhere to be found.
What's
so
the
if
product?
you could all possibly do something here, then sit around talking. That would be wonderful to hear.
What's the product?
Product, chemicals, plastics, building materials, many, many things. It's not just one product. Mr.
MaxWell.
MaxWell. Well, I was sure Steven forgot his name for a second.
No, I remembered.
Yeah.
And Arlie will kind of pipe up and say, I believe what he is asking is there anything in particular in this warehouse that would make it more of a target than any of your other warehouses? This would be pertinent information for us to know.
Looks up and down at you, and she's just like, we carry all manner of chemicals, materials, storage, used in a variety of industries all across Los Angeles.
Yes, that sounds like a line that I could have read in a brochure. Since we are here to investigate, I am asking for information that is beyond something that I could read on a brochure or somewhere else. Perhaps something that would be of interest to us in our investigation.
Okay. Roll a manipulations test. Let's do a manipulations test.
I like the sass.
Yeah, for the sass. That's going to come back to bite you in the end, by the way. We do questions.
Yes. Oh, dear.
You know it will. You remember the questions, right? We'll cover it at the end. But being rude to certain people and it's weird. You'll see. You'll see what I mean.
That's why you always give a fake name.
Okay, so I am rolling. Okay, it's the first roll. So
a fake name that someone happens to have.
I have a C in manipulation and a B in empathy. So that's going to be rolling a D8 and a D10.
Yeah, you're welcome to roll in the system or physical, whatever you prefer. I don't mind. Either way.
I'll roll it in the system just so we can kind of all see how it's working. And so that you can see my
well then 3 successes. That is an amazing roll, actually.
I rolled an 8 on a D8 and a 10 on a D10.
A 10 and a 10 on a D10. It's just roll that again to make sure that's not busted. Just really fast here. Okay. It's not busted. Okay, so you can see she momentarily looks like she's taken aback, and that she's going to you look like she's got the feel that she's about to lodge into you, but then at the same time you see her just go as if she almost appreciates the directness and the sass, and then she will kind of launch into a full kind of a listing of all her materials, and she unfortunately will say, about 75% of the materials that we keep in here are incendiary, flammable, and can be mixed with a variety of other materials, can be created, can be turned into, well, something terrible. I will give a full list of the inventory to you all. And so you can see, like, she kind of gets this, she kind of gets her own little, not Kia, but she has like her own little personal display unit and stuff like that. And she can kind of forward it over to like the LAPD networks and things like that. And eventually it'll kind of come to you. But you'll have a full list of materials. So it's a clue, basically. So you picked up a clue list of materials inside. But it does seem like a significant portion of what's in here is potentially dangerous.
Thank you very much for your cooperation, Miss Lau.
Indeed. Now,
we're going to need a list of every threat and enemy you've made recently, business and personal.
That's very funny. No, you won't. Any other questions?
We'll take it from here. I'll just move along.
Okay. She just continues to laugh at like Stone's screen. Oh, silly. How silly. Okay, so you all don't have to be in the same place at the same time. So we should stress this. Like a few of you could talk to them and continue to talk, but others you can go somewhere else. So just what would we like to do as we start moving around?
I'm going to move to whatever crowds that sort of gathered. So just announce like, all right, get a move on. If you weren't working or you didn't see what happened, get out of here. There's nothing. It's suppressed now. Okay.
I'll tell you what. You also can roll a manipulation test. And we'll see how effectively this sudden shouting out to all of these union workers who are kind of hanging around here.
My manipulation is a B, so it's just a 1d10 and rolled with an empathy as well. If I remember that's how it works, yeah. So it's a D12 and a D10.
Die. 6 or higher is success.
6 or higher is success, and some of them are double if you go high enough.
Yeah.
I think it's 8 above or double.
Yeah, 8 on a D10. So I think it's just 1 success.
So 8 on a D10 success, is a 1. Yeah. A 10, 11, or 12 are doubles. So that's all you need is 1. So you hear a not insignificant amount of grumbling, and people kind of yelling back, "Hey, all friends are in there. What are you talking about? Yeah, man, get out of here, man. We're the ones who put the damn fire out, man. What are you doing here? You're not even supposed to be here. We don't need no LAPD." And so you're getting all this kind of thing. One person kind of throws something in your way. People kind of, sort of try to discipline themselves. But then you see a few of these other kind of like beat cops start to show up and start to flank you as well. And now it's not just you who are shouting at them. But you do notice that as this kind of looky-loo crowd begins to part, a few linger, and you kind of get the feel that maybe they might have some more info, but like you can see they're a little bit curious or whatever it might be, and they kind of linger a bit, as if, waiting for an invitation.
Yeah, after seeing the crowd clear up, I'll just pinpoint a couple of them, ask them some questions.
Okay. What kind of questions would you be looking to ask? You can ask them directly and roleplay it out, or you can just kind of give me a list.
So the broad ones, like, were you here? What'd you see? Sort of deal.
Okay. So you talk to a few of them. They're like, listen, they say it's a fire, but something went off. It was a freaking, like, a bright white explosion. Like if you're looking at it, it would blind you. Just sort of popping out half of the windows. We were looking over there, and he kind of points to one of these other warehouses, and like just like that, we heard this like sizzle, like when you get that kind of, you get your paycheck in, you buy a little bacon, and you kind of drop it in the pan, you hear that kind of went on for, I don't know, what do you think, Pete? Like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just kept sizzling, and it was just this smell. I don't know what it was. It was. Hey, I know they got chemicals in there and stuff like that, but man, it wasn't just fire. Something blue. We saw, and he kind of points to like this other warehouse. We saw a chunk of the building fly off and just like crash through one of the windows over there. I swear it happened.
All right, I'll check it out.
All right. So you kind of go, after you kind of talk to them for a couple of minutes, they give you some basics. And you start walking in the direction of where they pointed you to. Others, what are you doing?
I want to do some forensics. I know he talked about a reason for me being there, something about a chemical going up or something.
Yeah. So I'll say this: when you step in to the actual warehouse or the remnants of the warehouse, you can tell that there is a just bizarre odor. Now it's just like this mix of chemicals. It's a chemical warehouse. Like most of the stuff that they keep in here are it's not in liquid form. Most of it's in some sort of solidified form, and it's used for like repurposing building or industrial materials and things like that. So there could be all manner of things, but it like there is this sort of burning sensation that's kind of like, getting your nostrils a bit. Because it's you, I'll say as you come in and you're just kind of doing a quick once over before you even bust anything out, you're just kind of doing like a surveillance thing. Go ahead and roll, we'll say observation, I think would probably be the first for now before you kind of get into any tech and stuff.
All right, I'm D10 on both those, intelligence and observation. And that is no successes.
It is a free league game, so you're welcome to push.
Pushing is a reroll as long as I didn't roll 1, correct?
Right.
And what do I get for pushing?
Okay, so a couple things with pushing in this game. First of all, you can use, I think it's, let me make sure I get this correct. I think it's Chinian points. So this is an optional thing. This is like an optional thing on top of just pushing. But one thing you can do is you can spend a 1 Chinian point to give you an advantage on a roll, even after a failed roll, but before you push it. So if you wanted to potentially, before you push this roll, spend a Chinian point, you could potentially do so. Now, if you're pushing, if you don't roll any successes and you fail, that's when you push, etc. As long as you didn't roll like a unicorn if you're using the system, or a 1. So anytime you push, you're automatically going to take 1 point of damage if the roll was strength or agility, or 1 point of stress if you rolled intelligence or empathy. So this is an intelligence test. So you would take 1 point of stress per unicorn symbol that's going to appear. Okay. So like you haven't taken
So
any
if I
yet.
don't roll unicorns, I'm fine.
You're fine. Exactly.
And stress would be to my resolve, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Yes, I will push then. I will not spend the Chinian point. I've got 2 D10s. I should be able to, with 4 D10s, I think I'd roll a 6 at one point.
Oh man, those are last
You'd
words right
think.
there. Derek, I love
The
that.
highest I've rolled on all 4 is a 5.
So good.
So
good,
that's a
dude.
failure. I didn't roll a 1 though.
You didn't get anything?
Nothing.
Okay. I'll tell you this. There's sort of there's something telling, something revealing about this odor and the residue of it, and even as you're looking around, some of the damage of it. But it's the type of thing that maybe if it was earlier in the day, maybe it wasn't at the end of a long day, maybe it would come to you. You could still probably learn it with some tech. Maybe head back to the lab at some point with some of your samples and run it through some of the systems back there. But just getting it off the bat, you're not going to. You're going to have to do some harder work on that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll start breaking out the kit.
Okay. So as you start breaking out the kit, let me check in with Faye. Let me check in with Everett and Arlie. What are the 3 of you doing?
Faye would start sweeping the facility looking for the missing security chief.
Okay. So I think that's probably also going to be an observation test. As you're specifically looking for signs, are you looking for like to see if he's amongst the workers or the crowd? Because there's still people here. Like the scene is a mess right now because there's been a lot of people that are actively trying to put the crime scene out, because you're seeing that they have scrambled here to do it kind of old school, whereas like whatever the usual fire suppression unit didn't kick in, and so they had to do it kind of by hand as opposed to automated. So there's still people here. You can see there's water flooded here and there. There's also some other kind of like suppression foam. But are you looking like amongst the people, or are you looking for like signs of death, of dead bodies or something like that?
She would be probably presuming that he's more possibly like a replicant. And since that they called in the Blade Runner group, so she's going to be looking amongst the people to see if perhaps he's trying to blend in.
Okay. I mean, mainly the way that you would detect replicants would be there's usually like a serial number. So there's like a couple ways you can kind of check the serial number in the eye. You can kind of look at some of the bones and things like that. They are like they're so particularly well made right now that just looking at them might not necessarily reveal anything unless you had prior intel on like what that model looks like.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you would just get that just from observing
I don't mean like
behavior.
See, maybe I said that wrong. I think she's just presuming he's still alive.
Okay.
And she's looking for him.
Did we get like a photo of him or like an identifier or description or something of like what he looks like?
So I would say, Faye, if you want, since this is Faye, thanks for that assist, Melissa. Roll a tech and get on your Kia. You do have access, limited access. You don't have like full access to like the Esper wall and stuff, but you do have some access to like the LAPD stuff through your kit, or Kia. I keep calling it Kia.
Let's see what I got.
Through your Hyundai.
I got 1 success.
Yeah, so you pull up what looks to be an old file, actually. I'll say like and because he is ex-LAPD. And so you're able to see not only what he looks like, you get his actual personnel file, which isn't easy, which isn't hard to get. But as you're going through it, he's probably in his late 60s. You can tell his hair looks to have gone like full white, or at least he's kind of given over to it. He doesn't seem to be dying in any particular way. He's let age kind of come to him, but you can see a man who's actually, think like kind of like a Ted Danson, aging extraordinarily gracefully and maybe getting more and more attractive as they age somehow in this sort of way. Is that you can tell like his retirement or his move to the private sector seemed to have done pretty well to him, for him. So you have an idea of what he looks like, and you also have like his basic file. And it says that he did stints, like he was a pretty decorated cop. He did stints in the gangs and narcotics division and in counterterrorism bureau. And he left on his own accord. He made his years, and he kind of retired into sort of like a private security with Chemplast specifically. And so kind of making some private money for a cushier gig.
So then maybe pivoting off of that, instead of looking through the people, maybe Faye would go look for his office to see what she can find amongst his office. Okay.
So you can look for offices. Sure. Okay. Everything's sort of in a super busted and terrible and kind of messed up. But I will say that there are still since everything in here is very industrial, you can see that there are like metal staircases that kind of weave up, but even some of those have been partially corroded, and you can see that others have been completely obliterated by whatever was sort of the source of this fire. But you're able to find a way up to what looks like around the 5th floor or something is where like the management these management levels are. Now, when I say 5th floor, every floor is not the same level. Like the bottom floor is massive. So like you're going pretty far up, and you can start kind of scoping around there. So while you're doing that, let's kick it over. Everett or Arlie, what are you two doing? As Koji is going and checking out where the explosion kind of like ricocheted a piece onto a different building. Lawton, you've taken out your kit. You're starting to take samples. Faye, you've started to go up and look at some of the remnants of the managerial offices. Everett and Arlie, what are you up to?
Everett will walk over to, I think it was Herman Volch?
German Volch.
German Volch. Okay, yeah. So it is pronounced as like the language. All right. So yeah, Everett will walk up to German Volch, cigarette in mouth, and he'll hold up his pack and he'll say, "So you've been here longer than we have. What can you fill me in on? These are your people that got hit by this, and you've got to have heard something by now."
So he's got this stogie in his mouth, and it reeks something delicious. And he's like, yeah, I've been here a bit
Been a while, it's my boys who are helping out your fools, getting that thing quieted down, making it sure it doesn't jump to other places and such. So I got my boys down there. Now this woman over there was it. He points her out. He kind of points over towards where it looks like Marilyn, Lau is kind of off bothering some other basic cop. And she's saying that there was a sort of a skeleton crew. According to my records, there shouldn't have been anyone here working at this shift. Okay? No one working this time of night. This was supposed to be empty right now. Off shift. Down. Completely. Alright? None of them cargo barges are coming until morning. So there ain't no reason for anyone to be here. That's what I can tell you. Now she's telling me there was people in here. Okay? I got a job. You got a job. We all got jobs. Okay? And I'm protecting those that I represent. Okay? So I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna be the one, and I gotta be the one. If there was someone in there when that warehouse exploded, I'm gonna be the one who's gonna have to go to those families. And I'm gonna knock on the doors and tell them that I'm the one who's gonna go over, tell all of his union brothers and sisters what happened. So I wanna know what the hell happened here. You got me?
I hear you completely. Forgive me. So after you learned there were people in this warehouse that shouldn't have been here, did you start reaching out to your people to see if anyone didn't pick up or if you didn't get anything back? That'd be really helpful to know.
You're damn right I did. The problem is, officer, here's a problem. Problem is that we cover almost the entire district. At least this half, eastern half. All right, we're talking thousands of workers. It's going to take time. We got some contacts over at Maeve's Bar. They might know. I was going to head over there pretty soon. Union Bar. It's a union bar. They might know a little of this, a little of that. If anyone's doing anything under the table, okay, first of all, they shouldn't be. They ain't part of the contract. We don't want that to happen. But if they are, someone might know about it there.
Out of character, do we have our own cards to be contacted on our Kias?
So you can't be contacted. So the Kias only go to other LAPD's things. So okay. But you would have I think you would have a basic kind of VidFon contact, either at your at LAPD headquarters or at home or something like that, where they could potentially get you or drop a message for you, a beat, but okay. They wouldn't be able to contact you through the Kias.
Okay, so then Volch would just, Maxwell would look at Volch and just hand him a card and say, if you hear back and you find out any of your boys were here when they shouldn't have been, getting pressure from this Miss Lau or anybody else for Chemtech, please give me a call at this number. Leave me a message. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'll find out what was going on and why your people were here.
Thank you. That's all I was asking for. Finally, some transparency. I appreciate it. Listen, if you want to know anything, like I said, there's some stuff kind of on the down low. We got to get a little. Sometimes you got to play it on the side. I'm not gonna crucify folks around here in case they need to do that kind of thing. All right. But at some point, if any of you got time, send it on over. Talk to Tanisha over at Maysball. Tell her German sent you. Okay, she'll answer some questions for you. Okay, she'll answer some questions. Sometimes flashing the badge is useful. Sometimes flashing the badge isn't. A lot of these folks around here are a little bit more fearful of a union rep than they are of you. Even though I rep them, they know that if they've been doing something that might adversely affect the union, then I might come down pretty hard on them. But listen, that's true. I might. But life or death is more important. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you completely. Thank you for your cooperation. I'll be sure to reach out to Tanisha.
All right, pal.
Thank you.
And he smashed you really hard on the side. And he's pretty short, stocky, but he's got this big old beefy hand. Just smashes you on the side. Thanks, pal.
No problem.
All right. And then finally, we'll go over to Arlie. Arlie, what have you been doing?
It seems like a lot of the particular leads that we had were taken. So I'm wondering, I'm relatively good at agility and stealth. Can I just sort of go meandering by myself and see?
Yeah, it's a very big warehouse. So we know that Faye is up specifically looking at the management offices, what's left of them. We know that Lawton's specifically trying to get some sort of chemical samples, residue, trying to deduce the source or the cause of the fire. So there's plenty of other places to sort of observe and things like that. So you're welcome to move around if you wanted to.
Yeah. What about like I'm imagining like there's still something that is akin to like a loading dock area.
Yeah, but the difference is it's the roof, and so what happens is like most of the cargo is brought in via cargo barge and dropped in through the roof, and then kind of taken out that way. There are smaller sections down on the ground where there's like kind of ground vehicle, but usually that's not the primary way that materials are delivered, at least materials of this size, because some of this is like big chunky industrial, like building materials, the type of things that they might put in like the Sepulveda seawall or, building skyscrapers or something like that.
Got it. How about a perimeter sweep?
Okay, are you looking for anything in particular?
Anything that seems like it doesn't belong or doesn't fit or seems out of place. Maybe extra damage in a particular location or anything like that.
Okay. Go ahead. Roll observation. So perimeter, like within, like you're looking at like the building, or perimeter, like outside the explosion. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry. What am I rolling?
Observation sounds like the best thing to do.
All right. So I've got a 10. I'm just going to keep rolling it in Foundry for a little bit. Oh my gosh.
These replicant rolls.
I'm gonna just be horrible
rolls,
for like
damn right.
everything. So I rolled a 10 on a D10 and an 8 on a D8. So that is both extra successes and never mind. I rolled 2 successes.
Okay.
I rolled a 6.
I mean, it's still an extra
D10.
success. Okay. So
it is an extra success.
Okay. So you're just sort of doing like a broad sweep, something that might stand out to you. Okay. Okay. You rolled 2 successes, so I'll give you 2 things. Okay. So you notice that there are at the very like top of the rafters over top of one of the main storage rooms here. You can see that there are these chains that are still mildly intact, but it looks like they've been partially dissolved, kind of working their way up. Like from the bottom up. They're like these big kind of heavy chains that are kind of hanging down. And you can see that they've been kind of wrapped around what looks like these kind of cross vents, some of which are in like looking like they're bending. So it looks like they've been positioned there, not like in an official manner, but somehow they've just been crudely wrapped around some vents, which looks particularly odd. And then the next thing is that they're... Okay, so the next thing you would notice is that there is just if you're doing your perimeter, there is this section of the ground of the sort of the main warehouse, like underneath where those chains are, where you can see like it's just this big circular scorch mark and like this indentation into the ground. Like as if the panel, like there's like these floor panels, these big, like what look like plastic, some sort of composite plastic that is making up the floor, like it's been bent or pushed down into the ground. They're probably about 10 by 10, and so that kind of bends down, and that's probably about 15 or 20 feet below where those chains are hanging.
Okay. At that, I would probably get on, comms basically to, like, would it be possible then to call like Lawton specifically?
Everybody can easily contact.
I can get.
You can all, okay. On your Kias, you can all contact each other. That's not a problem. Okay.
So I would want to share that information that I believe that I might have found the source of this fire here, and I'll kind of give my location for everyone.
Okay, so you give that over to Lawton, and we can. I have no problem unless you guys want to say otherwise. That you can say you're regularly giving yourselves, each other updates every 20, 30 minutes, whatever it might be. I'm fine with that. If there's something that you want to like keep hidden, just say, just shoot me a message on Discord or whatever it is, and we can say that information wasn't conveyed. I do want to cut. I want to cut back to Koji because he was sort of the first to kick this off. Koji, you got pointed in the direction of this neighboring warehouse. It's about, I would say, there's about 50 yards of distance between each warehouse here, and it's all very grid-like. And you can see that probably about 100 feet up, which is near the actually I would say near the midway point of the building. You can see that a huge chunk has been kind of collapsed inward, but whatever the building material was of this, some sort of concrete, has kept it intact. It hasn't suffered any damage. It's in the sense of like it didn't collapse or anything. It's not structurally ruined, but there is a huge chunk of what looked like a kind of a loft window that has been ripped open and part of the side. Now, what that would probably tell you is that this just something exploded and just shot debris outward, right? As you're looking around, you can see like evidence of like debris on the ground as well.
See if I can get access to that point at all.
It's a different company. And so if you would probably need to put in some sort of order, you kind of have to kind of get some kind of approval back from base, back from the home district there to do that. So what I would say is we can do like a connections roll here to see if you can kind of get them to fast track approval for you to get inside.
Okay. Connections, I've got an A. So I'm rolling 2d12s.
Sounds great.
Wow,
that's
nice.
That's really good. It's really good. Double Gandalf.
Just the 1-6, so 1 success.
Okay, yeah. So you probably, I mean, as a fixer, you've helped people here and there. You're not necessarily like a skimmer schmoozer, but you're political, right? Like that's the whole thing of the fixer, right? They're a person who like makes the connections, fix people. You're kind of a political being that navigates the LAPD, the UN, the bureaucracies of LA, and you're able to kind of get, even at this night, kind of a fast tracked entry. Maybe it's official, maybe it's just getting approval from whatever company this might be. But when you go inside, it's some sort of automotive storage. And so you can see that there are what looks like a significant number of these very nice high-end, mega rich collector, spinner types. Like they're not your, LAPD vehicles, but these are what the people in the 200, 300, 400 levels might drive. And it's just them from bottom to top. And maybe there's like a night watchman who's there kind of giving you a tour. And he's just like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was just sitting here. I was reading my stories. And all of a sudden I just hear a big boom. Just a big boom. I look up, my eyes, big old bright light outside. I thought I was getting pulled over by one of you folks. They were flashing a light. Maybe I was drinking too much. I blacked out or something. But no. It's just a big bright white light out there. And then I heard, I had a shake. I went and took a look. And there's a few vehicles, they took some damage. But, insurance. I'm sure to be fine. But, yeah, I can show you around. No problem.
Of course. Just lead me to that room up high.
Yeah, sure. So he takes you all the way up. And you can see that there's a chunk of the other building that's got to be like 10 by 10 by 10, like this big, like, huge chunk of concrete that has come through the window, has kind of clipped the frame of this loft window, so that part of this building has been sort of chunked off, and then like a bowling ball through pins has taken out this whole row of about 10 different vehicles. Now it's just like, it doesn't look like intentional, but it looks for sure just this row of vehicles has suffered pretty significantly.
You're gonna need to buff those out. But
I don't think buffing's gonna work here. I think it's gonna be wholesale. Back in my youth, I was a body man. Yeah, I was. But these hands, they shake a little too much now, so I can't really do it no more. Can't really do it.
Yeah, I'll just get like quick pictures of the evidence.
Sure. So you take out your Kia. Your Kia can kind of do this, can kind of clip some stuff. You know, if you want some, we got some cameras. You know, I mean, I know they're not as good as the LAPD but you know, the drones and such. But we got a few here and there. You know, some of them point outward. You know, security. Lots of people want to come in here and take these vehicles. You know, they're pretty penny for these. Yeah, if you want to come on. Yeah, come on in. Like, you can kind of get on the systems, you know, and such. Again, it's not, you know, not the greatest here. You know, we're not going to get every little thing here and there. But if you want to, come on in. It's nice to have company this time of night.
I'll take his offer.
Okay, so he leads you in, and you kind of sit down at this terminal, and the two of you start kind of loading up some security footage, and you start kind of just cycling through it here and there. Okay, so let's see. Who haven't we gone back to in a while? Faye, let's go back to you. Let's go back to you first, and then we'll go back to like Lawton and Arlie, because that kind of is going to do a thing. So Faye, you're up by this office, right? And you're just kind of seeing if there's anything here that can be like anything salvageable, or is there something in particular you're looking for?
Yeah, she's looking if there's anything salvageable, any evidence that he was maybe still in his office when this happened.
Okay. So, I don't want to just keep doing observation tests, but I feel like this is essentially observation again.
Yeah.
I would say if you wanted you... Yeah, roll your observation. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I kind of figured I'm really heavy in hand-to-hand combat, so... I'll push it.
Push it.
Push it real good. I got 1 success.
I was thinking the same thing.
Started
singing
Melissa,
it in my head.
I was telling Melissa this story yesterday when I came to work. I got out of my car. Brief little segue. Sorry about this. I got out of my car in the parking lot. I hear Young MC, like blaring, absolutely blaring in the parking lot, bust a move. And like I see the car coming up, and it parks right across from me, and out pops like one of my assistant chairs, who's like a kind of, probably early 50s librarian style of woman, and it's just like blaring. The door opens up, it's like whoosh, it's everywhere, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna have a good day.
My kind of lady.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, I would think Celine Dion, but no, Young MC is fantastic. Okay. So Faye, with 1 success, I'll say that it doesn't look like anyone was in here. But I will say that you do find within here like some probably hard copies of like the fire suppression and other types of, like, you can see that there's these big old binders of this like thick material, like this recycled kind of plasticized paper, right? So it's not like actual paper, but it's, and you can see kind of printed up on it as all these it's sort of like a hard copy of various procedures, diagrams for this, what needs to be stored where, what shouldn't be, kind of a safety guide. That you kind of start going through it. And I'll tell you this, that you would be able to, with this, probably like find where on the premises, if it's still there, where that kind of fire suppressant machinery might be. You've heard a few times now that it didn't go off for some reason. So maybe that's what kind of catches your attention here.
Okay. Yeah. Then once she has that, that's what she would head towards next.
Okay. So, and that's going down. There is a sub level. And that you're probably like where you're going to kind of head down there. Like underneath, there's a lot of like different machinery and things, like a refrigerated area too. So Lawton and Arlie will say are together now on the main floor of one of the taller rooms. But you see like there are these cross vents that, again, a lot of them, it almost looks like they've been dissolved. Like you can see like this. You can start to see it. You can start to visualize it, Lawton, as like Arlie pulls you into this room. You see this radius, and then you can see where it almost looks like something, whatever exploded, just disintegrated parts of this, And And you can see like up on one of those cross vents where those heavy chains are wrapped around, almost like squishing them, and they're kind of hanging down to the point where like they're not intact anymore. Like there's like half chains that are hanging and they're just sort of loosely swaying. You can hear the tinkling, and you can see this panel that Arlie is looking at that it looks like is suffered like a hero stomp, as and right in the center of it just sort of pushed down, and it's kind of folded up on each side. What you guys like to do here?
I'd like to do the full forensic workup. I want to know where the fire started, which way it traveled, what accelerants were used, if any. Looking at the product list of what would be in the warehouse, like what caught fire and caused it to accelerate more, etc. I just want to like create a little map of how the fire grew.
You can roll a tech for this, I would say. Arlie, if you give him a hand, and if you want to like aid him on, kind of giving him depth on this or setting up some of his equipment there, that kind of thing. If you wanted to, this is going to take time. So this isn't like an instant thing. This is probably like an hour or so like that. But if you want to aid him, he can take an advantage on this, or you can do something else if you wanted.
Arlie, you should not aid me on this because I get advantage on tech rolls that require knowledge of physics or forensics or any other natural science.
Mr.
So I should already
Stone,
have advantage.
I'm sorry.
Would it be
I'm gonna need a psychology roll on this.
wrongology? You were
Does the
close.
fire burn?
Mr. Lawton Stone, would it be useful to you if I climb up and I get a sample of what is on those chains that are partially dissolved up there? I can climb up and get you a sample if that would help in your investigation.
I suppose it would, but I'm going to be able to get samples down here. Is there... Yeah, go for a climb.
Okay. Lawton, give me that tech. Arlie, give me a mobility.
Two eyes.
Two eyes are better than one.
Two imaginary numbers.
Okay.
No, I didn't imagine the numbers. They are real numbers.
So, Lawton, you start working, you kind of laying out some of your material, you're getting your camera up, you're doing a series of images so that later when you kind of plug them into the Esper back at, the Esper terminal, the Esper wall back at base, like, you're not sure exactly how it works. No one really does. You just know it does. It has this immense computational power, can take images, it can kind of combine them together and through some sort of kind of like machine learning can piece together some aspects of it. So you start documenting. You take a look at radius. You start doing some basic sample work, and you probably have a few little devices where you can kind of figure it out. One of the things you would notice, I would say, that you would pick up on is like a white phosphorus, right? It's not like a full-on white phosphorus in the sense like it's dissolved this whole place, but somehow that was kind of used as part of like whatever explosive or incendiary device was here. You start hearing from like Faye and from Koji about this like white light and stuff, kind of bring all of it's kind of piecing together. And then you're getting like this now hard evidence that's sort of supporting that to some degree. So whether it's something that was within the inventory or whether it's something that was added, you're not entirely sure just yet, but you're pretty sure you can kind of figure that out. White frosting, white phosphorus.
So, Mr. Lawton Stone had said, no, I think I'll be able to get everything up here. And he's like, no, I think it would be useful if I climb up there and I get you a sample from the chain up there. And I did not succeed, and I in fact rolled a 1.
Yeah, so this is what's going to happen.
You're a unicorn. That's a good thing.
You climb up, okay, and you're doing this like climb to here, climb to there. There's like, again, a lot of this, the metal has been dissolved. Like whatever this is, it almost... I would say, Lawton, you would be able to think that as you're sort of piecing it together in your head, you're probably working on a theory. That looking at the explosion, you think it was meant to be localized, but then somehow it reacted with other chemicals that are in this warehouse, and it kind of created this chain reaction of events. You might even start to think that it probably wasn't intended to be this big of an explosion, which explains, because otherwise if it was this giant white phosphorus explosion, it would have basically just gotten the whole damn building, right? So likely the other elements that you're seeing elsewhere is likely the result of just kind of a cascading effect. Arlie, as you're climbing up, you're jumping from bit to bit. You're starting to like move across that vent. The vent starts to shake a little bit, but you're steadying yourself. And then right as you kind of reach down, the whole vent gives, chain and all. And you go, and so you drop about 30 feet or so with this vent, with these heavy chains that are probably, each of them probably 20 feet long or so. And you go smashing down right at the center, at the nexus of this explosion where that bent like kind of panel was. And you're going to take 3 points of health damage from that.
Okay.
Now,
And so you just, she is going to, kind of get up and sort of wipe the dust off of her a bit. And she's just going to sort of shoot Mr. Lawtonstone a look, like, don't even say anything.
now the other thing.
You okay?
I will be. Yes. Thank you.
In a weird...
You got to go to medical or repair bay, mechanic.
No.
You got to take off?
It's just a fall. I am fine.
You sure? Because that was good 30 feet.
Yes, this is one of the things that I can fall probably better than you can. This is just what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to test that out, but I do believe you.
You are a scientist, so it's interesting that you would not want to test out such a hypothesis, but I can understand the self-preservation.
You got dust on you a little bit.
Oh, thank you. I do want to. Thank you. Appreciate that. All gone? Yes.
I'm not even looking at her at this point. I just turned around to go back to work.
So one of the things you do notice, actually, as she lands, she sends like that panel that was bent, kind of lands on one side of it, and it just goes like seesawing, flying, flipping up into the air, and then slamming back down, upside down. I would say, Lawton, what's your observation like?
Observation is a B. I'm pretty good at it.
Okay.
B intelligence, B observation.
One of the things you would notice, first of all, is that there's something about like the scoring or the texture on the side. Now that you're looking at it, it almost looks like that was like upside down originally, and it kind of flipped itself over. But then the second thing you
used to
notice,
be the ceiling,
something like that, maybe. But you notice also that there has been something graffitied on it as well.
What's the graffiti? I'll check it out.
Look over, and it's sort of stylized but crude at the same time. W, you look at it for a bit, it's like a message. W, and then there's like an I. But as you look at it now, the I is kind of like supposed to be an A. You see this sort of juxtaposition of a K and an E together. And then you see this strange arrow that just sort of points up. You're kind of working it through. Wake up.
And the I is like a physical I, not the letter I, right? That's
it's like a
supposed to be the
drawn
A.
I within the circle of like a lowercase a.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'll document that. I do want to see where this panel, want to try and recreate where this panel was like originally attached to.
Okay. So you start trying to figure out the attachment to it, and you realize it is supposed to be the floor, but it looks like the floor panel was dislodged and flipped upside down. Now, these panels are, again, about 10 by 10 by 10 by 10. So they're very, very big. It's like 10, it's a big square. And they're heavy. They're plastic, but they're still fairly heavy. You couldn't do it by yourself. It would either take a handful of people. Arlie, you might be able to do it, but it's a fairly heavy thing. But it looks like it's been flipped, and so that whatever this message was like on the sort of like on the outside, and then kind of got buried underneath for some reason.
Arlie, could you set this panel over there for me so I can get a better picture?
Yes, of course, Mr. Lonsstone.
Arlie, and you can
I just want to see how easily she can lift it.
It's Arlie. What's your force at?
It's actually not great.
Okay.
Actually,
I would say
I've got a D for force and a B for strength.
You're okay. Your strength is B. Never mind. I'm sorry. Your strength is B. That's fine. So it's a struggle for you, but you are able to do it. It's a little bit of lifting, a little bit of dragging, but Lawton, there's no way you would have done it. She could do it. It was a little bit, but again, a little bit of a struggle, but she got it done.
And they're replicants stronger than her anyways.
Metal on concrete scraping sound that's happening as I'm doing this?
Yeah. It's plastic, so I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Plastic, but then like the underside of it is like you can see there's like metal framing where like the panels sit and all that kind of stuff.
So I sort of look back to you. It's don't help or anything. Is this where you wished it to be?
Yeah, that's perfect. And I don't take any pictures of it. Sorry to keep taking up more time. The next thing I'd like to try and figure out is what was in this room, the room below, and the room above, to see like if it was meant to be localized. I'm trying to figure out what the target could have been.
Okay. So
basically things in the immediate vicinity that they'd be trying to burn or explode.
We'll say you and Arlie start to get to that. And as you start working on that, we'll cut to some other folks. Everett, what would you be doing at this point?
Okay, so is Miss Lau still around?
She is. You can see that she is regularly what looks to be on her version of like a corporate Kia. Like she's communicating with her corporate bosses, whether it's Wallace or whether it's Chemplast, the subsidiary. You're not sure. But she's there, like monitoring. Like it looks like her job is to monitor the situation or something like that.
Okay. So then Everett will walk back up to Miss Lau, and
she like holds a hand up. She got this long fingernail, extraordinarily decorative. You realize like whatever is on it is like moving. It's like the actual nail itself is moving, like the coloring of it. It's super fancy. And she's holding up. Yes, officer.
So earlier, my coworker asked you about any enemies or any problematic individuals that might be wanting to do something like this to a building of yours. And I noticed you laughed it off. And sure, I mean, between the competitors and the lowlives you got to hire and pay to keep this place running, you've got a long list. But surely there's got to be somebody on this list of yours that even to you in all your years sticks out a little bit in recent times.
Detective, is that the proper term? Detective? Is that right?
You can call me Everett, you can call me Detective, doesn't make a difference to me.
Everett, if you insist. I work for Chemplast, who is owned by Mr. Neander Wallace's corporation. I don't have to tell you who that is, nor do I have to tell you that when it comes to the corporate world, there is the Wallace Corporation, and then there is everyone else. And she does kind of like this, like hierarchy, right? Everyone else will do whatever they can to even incrementally get closer to what we have. So, when you speak to me of corporate enemies, or enemies of any kind, well, that's why I laugh. Who isn't an enemy? When you're at the top, everybody wants you.
Okay. So then, surely, looking at everyone as a potential target or a potential perpetrator come after you, surely you've got state-of-the-art security or something that we could reference. We've been walking the scene as you've seen us working. but there's got to be more that you have on file.
Roll a manipulation test.
Okay. So it'll be 2d12 because I've got A's in both. Oops.
You are the face.
Hey, that's a 12.
That's 2 successes.
Okay. You guys are rolling pretty well tonight, other than Steven. So that's pretty good. I like that. Um,
Pretty par for the course, really.
I enjoy that.
I am the Dan of the lollygaggers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Poor Dan. Just, I like to think he's probably overplaying the hard game right now. He's just like, oh, I feel bad for some reason. He just took a strain for no reason. Oh, man. Okay, so... Okay. Well, Mr. Everett. And then her eyebrow lifts. MaxWell. As she kind of pieces it together for a moment and then shakes her head, and you hear an exasperated sigh come out. Not at you, but like retroactively at Lawton. You are indeed correct. We do have access to our own network of cameras similar to your Esper network, and I was just trying to acquire the footage. It does, well, looking at the state of the building, as you can tell, she kind of like trails off. Anyhow, amongst your rabble, we've sent our technicians in, and they have managed to piece together, and you've been here for a couple hours at this point, right? And so we've managed to piece together some footage. And she steps over to you, shoulder to shoulder. She gets very close, actually. And you hear this, you hear this sort of, this sigh kind of come out of her mouth as she starts kind of going through her display. She smells amazing, actually. She's probably got some high-end perfume on. And she starts playing through this footage. And she says, now we are unfortunately unable to get much footage after the explosion, or the debris, but we have been able to acquire, well, at least everything from, well, here. And she just shows, and you can see that there is this worker shift change that's going on. There's a barge delivery that's coming in that's entering. You see it's lowering, like the new shift is kind of coming in. You see the kind of usual stuff. She's kind of flipping through the various internal security cams that they use. All these people are dressed in these like Chemplast coveralls and such. And because you got 2 successes in this, I'm not going to require a secondary roll. There's one thing that catches your eye as she's flipping through, and eventually like the footage ends with that burst of a bright white, and then it's gone. And so like that's it. But you do notice that as the shift change is happening, you notice that there was one individual that didn't seem to be coming in with the normal crew off of like whatever kind of like sort of shuttle that they use to send workers out to here from, wherever it might be coming from, that they're kind of veering off from this alleyway nearby, and they've got this duffel on, but they're still kind of covered in this, in what looks like this coveralls. They got this hat like held kind of low, and they seem to try, and you know body language. You're a cop. You can kind of tell they're trying to blend in, and you can see that they disappear into the building a couple times here or there. You can see you see them pop up, but not as often as Then you, at a certain point, you lose them. But you did see them at one point, kind of vaguely on one of the sort of the office level cameras, like kind of like shifting down, like, and if you kind of communicate with Faye, like you would know that this large figure seemed to have managed to access some of those like suppressant controls at one point, like the two of you, if you get on and you cannot communicate. And if you want to roll observation to kind of look really closely, you can see if maybe you get an extra bit or two about the person. But otherwise, it's like kind of a grainy, like black shadow figure.
Okay, yeah. I've got a B in observation. So would I just roll that singular dice, or would I include my intelligence in it?
No, yeah, roll observation. So that's it's always 2 die, or if
Oh,
you
okay, gotcha.
advantage,
Okay.
you would get 3. But this case is just regular.
Ooh.
Okay. You're
What?
right.
you
success
split there, and I
As
had
long
a
as you
unicorn.
don't, yeah, like a unicorn's fine unless you push.
Okay.
And you can't push on, etc. So anyway, you got your success. You do notice that like it looked like at one point as they were kind of working on the fire suppression unit, like you can see that they had rolled their sleeves up and they were just covered in tats, like just tats for days, sleeves, like insane. And also you could tell it's a man. Never quite got a look at his face, but did kind of, what you can tell, had like kind of a shaved head with a hat over top of it. So it didn't have any long hair or anything like that, but definitely had some tats.
Okay. So then Everett will play it cool, not give too much of a reaction, but he will say to Miss Lau, is it possible I could get a copy of just this particular footage leading up to the event so I could show my coworkers? We can run the footage a few times, see what we can pull out.
Of course, Mr. Maxwell. She kind of like, her hand kind of comes down like over top of yours. Really, of course we can take care of that for you.
I greatly appreciate your cooperation.
The nails kind of move around. It's like
Roll for yearning.
exactly. Oh, Derek doesn't know that joke, does he? He wasn't in Regency. Yeah, that's our new skill.
He'll learn.
Roll for yearning. Yeah, he'll learn about it. It's our new thing.
Eric, who do you yearn for?
Marilyn. Wow, right now.
Yeah, actually, so yeah, Maxwell would play like charming and say, quite a lovely design you have on your nails. What is it? Is it signify something, or is it just your favorite colors?
Signifies wealth and power, my dear man. Wealth and
Most
power.
important things in this city.
Right you are. I didn't realize they had such worldly intelligent folk within the LAPD. Perhaps I've been too hasty.
That's okay. You've got a lot on your hands today. I wouldn't make any presuppositions on this. So thank you again for everything you've given me.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. She kind of gives you like a little nod, and then she like kind of takes a few steps away, kind of sways the hips a little extra maybe, and then she kind of gets back on like her own corporate phone. Let's give Faye and Koji another round here. So Faye, we'll go to you since like we just said like maybe there was some kickback here and there, and so maybe it's now that Everett's kind of funneling you some of that info, but you've got this book, you've got this info that there was somebody messing around with it. And you do find in the corner of like one of the lower like subfloors, what looks like the fire suppression unit, like the machinery is still kind of intact, but like because it's a subfloor, it wasn't necessarily as ripped up. Is there anything you want to do down here?
Faye really wants this to be checked to see if it was like tampered with and exactly how it was tampered with.
Okay. Tech would probably be the best thing here.
Okay.
Because it's specifically machinery you're kind of messing around with, I would say.
Let's rip it. Oh.
You can push.
Yeah. I'm rolling. I got a C in intelligence and I have a D in tech. And
You're a
D in
dum-dum.
observation. I am a dum-dum.
If only you had an analyst for a partner.
The
Yeah.
fire suppressant punches you in the face. There you go. Punch it
Faye
into
would
submission.
probably-
Tell me what you know.
Tell me.
Tell me
Faye
what
would
you know,
probably-
fire suppressant system.
She'd probably attempt to see if she could notice anything, and then she would call Lawton down, especially when she heard him and Arlie like trying to see what was below where they were at. Is this
Yeah.
below where they're at?
Yeah, it's a subfloor. I would say, like, but this is like in the corner of the.
It's not.
of
So it's
the
not
base,
directly
and,
below
like,
them.
they're kind of centralized. And I would say like what he is doing and what Arlie is doing as well, that is taking a significant period of time. I'm not
long
like
time.
when would have
Yeah.
seen like there's time.
He doesn't answer your call, and he sends you a message just saying, "I'm busy."
So then I pushed. So then
I saw that.
So then she gets the book out and she starts looking for like one of the forms where it shows you what it should look like, and then she's comparing differences of like, okay, well, what's different?
It seems as though like this like the sensor apparatus, like the thing that would sort of send kind of read the signal of increased temps or increased chemical spill or something like that would send towards the suppressant tubes and stuff that shoots down the foam, that has been sabotaged. The foam's fine, and you've even seen the foam kind of erupt here and there, like just because of explosiveness. But whatever was basically used to sort of like trigger it has been, you can tell this isn't. It was damaged prior to this. Like there's no way this was done purely from the explosion. This is something that somebody got in. This is a well protected box that this is in. Okay, it's like the control unit is within a literally fire protected box, and so somebody messed with this prior to, and they turned off. Like you're positive somebody sabotaged this.
So then Faye will take pictures of it. Is there a security camera in this room?
There is, in fact, yeah. And if you get on with Everett can kind of connect, and now you two are kind of like, yep, you're confirming it. You've got a picture of the suspect, that kind of thing. You don't have the face, but you have a couple other shapes as well. Yeah. And you do see him, kind of maneuvering. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I would say another thing, Faye, you would probably know, like his hands are out there and he's moving things and stuff like that. You might be able to take some sort of fingerprint sample or something like that. You might be able to kind of pull some of that as well.
Okay. Yeah. What would that be to attempt that?
I would say it's probably tech, but you're a cop. This is something I would think you would probably know how to do, or it's something you could wait and have Lawton do later. Like, so that's the type of thing. As if you
wait, yeah. Are we setting up Lawton to do the enhance? All right, 76 to 475 enhance.
That's all I want out of this campaign.
Do you have the Esper computer? Oh, it's so good. I love it. God, I love
That's what I was doing when my intro scene. I was just enhance.
It's so good.
Pan right, move forward, center, enhance.
And then they throw out coordinates sometimes too. I love that too. Just like
the coordinates don't actually match where the computer moves to.
No, like so great. 42 to C12.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and go over to Koji. Koji, you have been going through this other building, this sort of automotive collectors storage center. You can go ahead if you want. You can roll a tech as well, or an observation. I think either of those would be fine if there's one that's better than the other.
Yeah, my tech's a notch better. I've got a C and a B in intelligence.
Okay.
D8 and D10. That's a 9, so 1 success.
Okay, so this guy's just kind of talking. Yeah, it's probably been the most exciting night I've had for a while. Just me and the missus usually. We settle in. We kind of tell each other stories, how the day went and stuff. She does the nails down here, and she's like kind of going off, like rambling here and there. It's this old man. He's very excited to finally have something to do. And as he's kind of talking and talking and talking, you notice something actually. And it's something really, really curious. You see through a window, like you can see the camera is supposed to be kind of going down towards the street level, and it does, but you can barely catch this small glimpse through the window into the actual the warehouse for Chemplast, and you can see these chains that have been that are suddenly appearing, and you can kind of see the glimpse of them. And they're kind of hanging down at a distance. It's kind of grainy, and you can see like they're moving here and there, like they're kind of like wrapping around, and you see something's kind of getting pulled up them. And eventually, as you're watching the change slowly get pulled, you're hearing this guy, we're looking to maybe go for a ride and such. And he's just talking and talking. And you see suddenly appearing from underneath the lip of where the window gives you access, this like small little glimpse. You see that a body has been wrapped up within the chain, and they're getting kind of pulled up. And you see they're kicking and they're moving and they're kicking and they're moving. And you look at your Kia. You look at the image, you look at the Kia, you look at the image, You're pretty sure you recognize former LAPD Monty Croyle. We're going to go ahead and end there for the night.
Hey.
No.
That son of a bitch.
That son of a bitch.
I think we'll end right
This was a
there.
lot of fun, Jeff. It was a lot of fun.
I was terrified.
You did
I
great.
like-
Terrified.
I got
I
to
like
flirt
that
with
we-
Jeff in a cutscene.
I know, right? Hey, buddy.
You gotta get in the Regency.
We went slow and it really fit Blade Runner perfectly. Like just taking one step at a time with the investigation and everything, putting the pieces together. It really,
Wow.
really felt like Blade Runner.
It was slow and not even remotely exciting. That's what I took from what
I almost fell
said.
asleep.
You
It was so
nailed
slow. I
the
thought it was-
theme.
I thought Long was asleep at one point. Ashley got up.
Oh, was he
in
not?
Fury at a certain point, just walked away with great anger.
That's a safety
Utter
tool.
anger.
We can't give her trouble for it.
All right, so there's something we got to do first before we cut. We got to do the awarding thing. Where's the pages for that? So, I think it's promotion humanity, maybe. I forgot to bring up my. Let me see. So yeah, so like basically, much like any free league game, they're like it awards XP by like answering like a series of questions, and it's sort of the same thing. Except we're not necessarily awarding XP, but we're awarding like humanity points and like promotion points and things like that. And there's like a series of questions. I think it's 220. Let me try. Let's see if they're there.
I'm looking at it in Foundry
Yeah,
and using promotion points.
got it.
I'm sorry, humanity points. You have to have used your key memory or interacted with it in some
Yeah.
way.
I got
Interacted with your key relation. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, I
promotion
had it
points.
before you, but fine, go ahead.
You're fired. Promotion points. So basically, after each session of the game, you get to reward players with promotion points for doing their job as a Blade Runner. So you basically get one promotion point if these things apply to you. Found one or more clues that led to real progress in the investigation. Everyone think they got one individually?
Wake up,
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wake up.
I would say so.
Okay.
white frosting.
Okay. So yeah, I think everyone got one. Koji, you saw the body. Faye, you found the fire suppression sabotage. Everett, you saw the video of the guy.
Yeah.
I
with the
manipulated her into
tattoos.
giving us the list.
Yeah.
Which is a
Okay. Let's see. Revealed one or more fugitive nexus 8 replicants. Nope. Apprehended one or more suspects. Nope. Stopped one or more serious crimes. Nope. Uploaded at least one piece of important evidence to the LAPD mainframe. We could say we've got, what did we get? The video. Everett would get that for the video.
Arlie would get the list.
Sure. And then Lawton, I would say anything you're getting from like the materials, stuff like that. So, okay. Save the life. No. Okay. So that's probably it for promotion points. Then humanity points. Took a personal risk to help another person, human or replicant. I would give this to Arlie, who climbed up and across that vent and literally fell.
I asked if she was okay. That's kind of like a social risk.
Connected to someone, human or replicant, on a personal level. Everett, got a little flirty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I tried to connect with
the
Koji.
guy.
I tried to connect with him. He didn't connect back.
Oh,
Kept
okay.
offering.
Don't sound so bitter, Jeff.
I was very sad. I was trying to flirt with Koji as an old man. Learn something significant about someone's life.
Nah.
Yeah. Try to talk someone down from committing a crime. Nah. Learn something that made them view the world differently. I don't think we're there yet. Let's see.
I'm
one
trying my hardest to
refused
think of how
upload.
I can spin these.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I refuse to follow orders. Did anyone refuse to follow orders because the character felt they were wrong?
I don't think so.
I almost said
edit.
no to the case.
Yeah. Edo, just wait. Edo, just wait. When Melissa does her baseline test, I got a plan. Refuse to follow order, but no. Used a key memory or interacted with it in some way. Well, I'll give this to Faye. Faye actually gave it. She got the lucky, just by the luck of the roll.
I referenced it in my introduction. Does that count?
Sure.
I was talking about the fire glinting in my house. And
take it.
Okay.
And that's it. Okay, that'll be it for now. Okay.
Yes, too old. It's true I didn't hear my phone, but I don't know that I'm intentional enough to get credit for that.
Yeah. I mean, part of that is
Thanks
just
for
like me doing it for you because I'm setting stuff up. Okay. So that was first round of Blade Runner. We're going to be back in 2 weeks with more. We're going to be alternating. Next Friday is going to be our finale of Hunter. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back with the next session of Blade Runner. And in 2 weeks, we're going to give away some dice. I was going to do it tonight, but there was a possible chance we might have had to cancel, so I didn't want to promise anything. But we're going to be giving away another set of Norse Foundry dice in 2 weeks, so you should come back for episode 2. Tomorrow, I think you can catch myself, Steven, and Melissa over on Grim and Perilous Plays on YouTube, I think, as we're playing some Tales from the Loop. And then the usual One Ring crew will be playing One Ring tomorrow afternoon, as per usual. Monday, it sounds like we're gonna start Horror on the Orient Express. But now that I said it out loud, I probably jinxed it, and something's gonna happen. But that's the hope. And then nothing Tuesday yet. But Stephen, when are we coming back?
That will be February 7th. Will be our first session of Forbidden Lands. 9 p.m. Central.
Tuesday something else special though?
Nope.
Tuesday is special
it's
because
not.
I like it.
Are you sure?
Well, what Steven said is true. It's because that's Steven's night. That's why.
I'm giving you an out, Jeff.
Hey,
Thanks, buddy.
chat knows what it is.
Thanks, buddy. Shut up, Logan. But thank you. It's my birthday, so whatever. I'm turning even older. So
22, 23? How old
No,
are
we're
you?
at 23.
24? I think are we at 23? I forgot.
Oh, old man.
When you get
old
that
man.
that old, you forget.
That's my task to track, okay?
Oh man,
I'm
Australis is a
definitely
good
looking
idea.
forward.
Just keep streaming.
To getting back to this in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Me too.
I am too.
Yeah.
I was very nervous. It almost didn't happen, and I was just like, all right, let's do it. I'm good. Let's do it. And I was like,
You
okay.
nailed
Rip
it.
off the Band-Aid.
I thought I actually had, like I said, I had a couple locations ready, and we're still at the first location. So I'm like, okay, all right.
You're
But
like-
there's a couple other locations ready. I mentioned a few of them. Maeve's Bar, for instance, is one
Maze
kinda-
Bar. I figured as one.
There's a few others as well that we can kind of pick up on here and there.
You get us to split the party, and that'll just
Well, that's what you
Times
guys
3 hours.
absolutely can do. But I felt it was a good idea, at least at the very start, to put you all together, and then you can start to branch out and go different places. So now
Didn't the
that
rulebook say not to split the party.
no, Blade Runner
game actually
highly
I have
encourages it.
never listened to that advice.
Highly encourages it. So, all right, we are going to get out of here. We're going to raid our friends over at Defenders of Cobalt. Joe is running some Heart, one of my favorite games. I love that game. We've run it here. I've run it over at Grim Paris Plays. And so let's go watch Joe run some. But come hang out with us tomorrow and have a good rest of your weekend. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you.